Hi, I'm Rebecca Willie, Executive Director of Music for a Great Space.
And I'm MGS board member Dwyla Pearson.
And we are so excited for the 23-24 Music for a Great Space season that is about to start. We are calling this year our Season of the Arts. And to celebrate that, we are beginning in the artistically renovated Double Oaks Bed and Breakfast here in downtown Greensboro.
And today we have the pleasure of interviewing two of the four members of the Terra String Quartet, and we are super excited. We have a real dream team here, okay? Graduates from Colburn, MSM, Manhattan School of Music, Juilliard, just all the greats. So we have some real incredible musicians here with us today.
Super, super talented.
Hey guys, thanks for being here with us today.
Yeah, we're so happy to be here, and we're so excited to meet you all in just a few weeks at the concerts. I'm Amelia. I'm one of the violinists. I grew up in North Carolina, so it's coming home for me. I grew up in Greenville, North Carolina, and I started playing violin when I was 3 years old with the local Suzuki program, and then I studied all throughout North Carolina, and before I went to Colburn for my undergrad. And then I went to Juilliard for my master's. So coming back to North Carolina to perform is kind of a dream and something I'm always excited to do.
Awesome. Can you talk about how you actually chose the violin when you were, like, what age you were?
Yeah, so my father actually worked with another doctor whose wife was an early music teacher. Her name was John Shaw, and she got my sister involved, my older sister involved with violin when she was also 3, and I saw my sister play, and I was like, I have to do that as well. So my whole family, my brother, my sister, and I all started violin when we were very young. I'm the only musician in the family now, but we're all avid music lovers, and yeah.
Awesome. Nice. Audrey, do you want to tell us a little bit about your start?
Yeah, so as stated already, I'm Audrey. I'm the cellist of the Terra String Quartet. And I first came to the cello in 4th grade when my school program, so I was born in Washington State, and at the time they allowed all the 4th graders to pick an instrument for orchestra or band. So my older sister, like Amelia, I have an older sister, and she started on the violin. And naturally, I wanted to be just like her, but not exactly like her, so I picked the cello, and little did I know that now it would be me and carrying this cello forever for the rest of my life, and buying that extra plane ticket for it on the plane. But it's been a great journey, and I would not change a thing if I had to go back. So it's cello it is.
Awesome. Nice. So Harriet and Ramon are the other 2 members of the quartet, and they couldn't be here today because they're off doing fabulous things. But could you tell us a little bit, just kind of so we get to know them a little bit too?
Yeah, Harriet has an interesting story. She kind of grew up all over the place, was born in Australia. Her mother's Korean, lived in Korea, lived in Japan, lived in New York, and then ended up in Brussels, where her family now lives, but she, I think, started violin at a very young age, and I think unlike Ramon, Audrey, and I, she really had that violin one-track mind. Her family was like, she's going to be a violinist. She's so talented. She was very talented from a young age, and kind of grew up doing the solo competition route. And kind of fell in love with chamber music, I think, later in college, and kind of knew that she wanted to be in a quartet from that point on.
Yeah, I guess I wanted to add what Amelia meant by kind of the violin one track is that the 3 of us, Amelia, myself, and Ramon, actually all started studying something that wasn't music in college. So I'll let Amelia maybe speak about herself, but I got a major in molecular and cellular biology for my undergraduate degree. So it's kind of interesting, but at the same time I was doing music. I was doing a dual degree at the New England Conservatory while I was pursuing my undergrad at Harvard. And so just having the chance to kind of be in, 2 worlds at once, and then now coming to terms with the fact that like music is really that world for me, it's pretty it's nice. It's fun to have those different perspectives. And for Ramon, I know he did a brief stint in economics as his degree, but Ramon's backstory is interesting. So he was born in Venezuela, grew up there, and he started playing his instrument through the El Sistema program there. And he started on violin, and then they needed violists. So then he switched to the viola, which was a great thing for all of us. And he's played with Dudamel, has just kind of played a lot of orchestral rep with the El Sistema program. And then eventually when he came to the United States, he went to the Manhattan School of Music to study. And he did that economics degree some point between while he was in Venezuela, and then when he came to the US, it was music from that point.
Yeah, I mean, now you guys have had a really incredible year so far in terms of prize winning. Second prize at Melbourne and third at Osaka. Could you guys talk a little bit about your experiences with those competitions?
Yeah, so competitions are kind of a necessary evil, we call them, in the quartet world. They allow for a lot of exposure, prize money, management, concert opportunities. So as daunting as they are really necessary in our field. And we feel very lucky to have been to kind of 4 major competitions in the past year of our quartet. Our quartet is a young quartet, so we formed in 2021, and we kind of decided, oh, well, this will be 2 years of really getting to know each other and kind of exploring repertoire, and we won't do any competitions because that'll just, kind of push us past this limit. But then we started just applying to some to see if we could get in, and we got into most of them, all of them that we applied for, and we've been doing really well, which is such a kind of positive reinforcement for us as a quartet, as a young quartet.
Yeah, I'll add about competitions. Just the chance, like getting to travel to Osaka and then traveling to Melbourne, Australia, of all places, I never thought that I would be going to these 2 countries within the span of like 2 months. And it was just a great opportunity for us. I think we really got to meet a lot of other amazing young quartets out there. We got to interact with these very esteemed jury members at both competitions and get really good feedback from them as we advanced from round to round until we got to the finals. It was just really exciting for us. It really pushed us to play at a level I think that we would not have been able to get to if we didn't have, that pressure, but also just like the excitement of playing for audiences like all the way across the world and wanting to bring, our best version of ourselves to that stage. So I think overall those competitions were really good experiences for us. Maybe it's time for us to take a little bit of a break before we jump back in to doing any more competitions. But at that point, I think it was the best thing that could have happened to us. And we've really kind of found, a group sound. We solidified how we approach music and how we do things efficiently and well to ultimately bring what we hope is the best performance to our audience.
You also learn so much about your quartet members under pressure. It's so much fun in the rehearsal room, but then when you kind of have to go into this vacuum of pressure and stress, you kind of really learn such a different layer of the personalities and how to support one another. That is kind of experience you don't get otherwise. So I think these competitions were so valuable for us, and I think we're excited to take a break, but we're keeping our minds open for doing more in the future.
Awesome. So you referenced a little bit that you guys got together in 2021. Can you tell us a little bit about what did that process look like, getting the quartet formed?
So Harriet and I met at Juilliard on the first day of orientation in 2017, and we became very, very fast friends and realized that we just had so much in common in terms of just morals and values in the music world. So what we wanted to do really aligned. We were like, we want a string quartet. That's it. We want a string quartet in life. So we kind of decided our second year that we would start the string quartet. Of course, the pandemic happened, so we lost two of our members who went to the West Coast and decided to actually stay there. So during the pandemic, we were sitting in North Carolina. She was with my family and I, and we were like, let's reform this quartet and let's try to make something of it. So once we all got vaccinated, we decided to reach out to a lot of violists, a lot of cellists, and say, do you want to read with us? Do you want to reform this quartet with us? And we reformed it in August of 2021. And we feel really proud that we kind of did something productive during that time where not a lot of things were going on in the music world. So it was kind of a silver lining of the pandemic was to have that time to kind of reform and really decide what we wanted and who best fit, what we wanted in a quartet. So we reformed the quartet in 2021, and Audrey joined a year later in November 2022 when our cellist moved to England. So so excited to have Audrey on board. She's been such a breath of fresh air for this quartet and brought so much personality and admin help too, which has been wonderful.
Can you talk to us a little bit about maybe just pick one of the pieces that you're going to perform for us at the end of the month, and just talk to us a little bit about why you chose it, why you love it, what to listen for, those kinds of things?
So I'd like to talk about the Caroline Shaw piece that we're playing, which is titled On Tract. And Caroline Shaw is a composer who audiences might know as, there's this really incredible young living composer that's incredibly active these days, and she's writing so much. She's won a Pulitzer Prize. So Amelia mentioned that John Shaw was her first teacher, and John Shaw is Caroline Shaw's mother. And I also have a fun story where I went to this festival called the Four Seasons Chamber Music Festival that takes place in Greenville, North Carolina, and I stayed with the Shaws. They were my host family for that first year, and so I kind of saw all these pictures of Caroline Shaw on the walls too. So it's really great to be able to play her piece. And this is a piece that all of us have come into contact with before in our lives, before we were together in the quartet. I played it as a string orchestra version back in college. Amelia's played it countless times, I'm sure, with various other members. But now as a quartet, when we were brainstorming what we wanted to play, her name came to the top just because of these personal connections. And then On Tract as a piece also came to the top because we all already loved it so much, even before coming together. And so I think you'll find that piece is incredibly just moving. For me, it feels like speech in a way. There's so much there's like fiddling and folk influences in there as well. And the sound world is just incredible.
Yeah, she actually studied voice in college, so a lot of it is very vocal. I think it's very accessible as new music these days. It's kind of a mix of beautiful kind of old world harmony mixed with some newer sounds and techniques, extended techniques. And yeah, we feel so connected to Caroline. I grew up with Caroline. Her mom was my first violin teacher. So it just felt like we're going back to North Carolina. We have to play Caroline. We have to kind of give that nod to female composers, which we feel so strongly about, but also kind of home.
Yeah, that's awesome. I actually just got to work with Caroline in May. And she is an incredibly lovely person too, which I'm sure you guys obviously know, but I was just struck by what a gracious and just genteel person she is. So that's so cool that you guys have this amazing personal connection with her also. Just would love to hear your perspective as traveling and performing artists. Kind of what is your feeling about the arts industry, especially post-COVID, which obviously for you guys was an important and very meaningful time?
Yeah, I can start by saying that I think one of the things that's happening in the classical music world that I think is kind of going towards something better is just a general awareness about how classical music isn't just, this bubble where we play composers that have not been living for, hundreds of years and only kind of tout those as the best living composers. But in fact, classical music needs to just be more inclusive. We need to be programming composers who are people of color, female composers, young composers. Like, there's just so much more awareness now of the fact that classical music can be more inclusive. And I think that something that could be kind of just talked about more is the fact that as a field, it's actually very difficult to go into classical music if you come from a background that doesn't have, certain resources, whether if it's the schools don't provide enough resources, there isn't good music education, early music education in schools. There's a lot of money that goes into just even having lessons in general. And so for me, I feel like it's not acknowledged as much that people are coming from all different backgrounds, and there's vast inequities still in the US, obviously. And that filters into all cultural systems in the US, classical music included. What the solution is to that, it's difficult because I think a lot of it stems from policy. It stems from just the music educational system, whether if it's starting early or it's being cut from schools. And now as a professional musician, I feel like my role in a way is to do everything that I can to make sure we still reach those younger audiences, whether if it's just by providing support at a crucial stage, if they're in high school and they love music, but they're not really sure if that's something that they can continue, by providing that kind of support and that mentorship, by reaching little kids in their schools and giving them a sense for what classical music, what role that could play in their lives. I think as a performer now, it's just, I like to make sure that, every concert that we play, we see if there's some educational opportunity associated with that we can also tack on into our programming for that particular concert. So
It's incredible that you mentioned that, because that's a huge hand clap to you guys for really pushing that, making sure you're getting those resources back into those underserved communities. I volunteered at one point in my schooling at a place that provided free and reduced, not free and reduced, it was completely free instruments and free lessons to underserved community. And it was fascinating to see that at some of those children at 12 and 13 was their first time seeing a violin, or even hearing that you could go to the different places and travel to different places and hear the different types of music just at that age. And so it's good to hear that you guys have a real initiative to pour back into those communities in that way.
And we always feel like if we can touch one child who brings it home to their families and they become classical music supporters, that's worth it. If you can make one student or one person who had no experience in the past feel like they now have a connection to classical music, it really breaks that barrier. There's such a barrier from audience to stage, and the more that we can break that barrier in performance, in outreach opportunities, we feel better about what we do and we enjoy ourselves more.
So that was a great exploration of kind of the direction that we all need to be going. Is there anything that you think is just amazing, like that as you've been out performing in different, you get this really cool perspective of getting to be in different cities and performing on all kinds of different series, whether it's like a private series like ours, or school related, like a university related thing, or just a lot of different settings. Is there anything that you're like, you've had an experience that just was like, wow, this is such a cool thing that these people are doing. I'm so excited to see this happening.
Well, with the we had a residency this past year with the Four Seasons Chamber Music Festival in Greenville, North Carolina. And they have a really neat initiative that brings classical music into the hospitals. So we go to Greenville, we perform 10 concerts over a series of about 5 days throughout different locations in the hospital. And I think that has been one of the most rewarding things for us is to play for hospital staff, doctors, patients, families of patients. And it's something that we now makes our wheels turn about how we can kind of incorporate some of that into our careers and our life as chamber musicians. It's just to reach a community that doesn't otherwise have that opportunity to have classical music in their lives. It's a really neat thing. And now we're the quartet in residence at an initiative called Project Music Heals Us, which is a similar initiative where we bring music to underserved and underreached communities. So we'll be working with a school in Kenya, where we'll be giving private lessons one-on-one to kids in Kenya over Zoom. And then we'll be going to Kenya next summer and get to kind of experience that in person. We've been giving a series of concerts at Rikers Island, the prison outside of New York City. And that has been an extremely rewarding experience, just to kind of see inside those walls and kind of experience a really appreciative audience, actually, just incredibly appreciative. And then we'll be also working with hospitals, nursing homes around the city and in the tri-state area to bring concerts there as well. So we feel so lucky to kind of have that as part of our project over the next year.
That's amazing. I think it's great just to highlight these programs that are happening all over the country, because a lot of people think of classical music as just being in the concert hall and this kind of stuffy experience. And there's so many organizations that are doing incredible things like the programs that you've mentioned. And it's awesome that you guys are doing it. And it's also awesome that those opportunities are available for people in our communities.
And we felt so drawn to your concert series because of your educational outreach and your commitment to education. So we are really excited about the concert, but we're also really excited to kind of get to reach out to your community and hopefully meet all of you at the concerts. We'd love to talk afterwards. That's one of our favorite things, is kind of to reach the community, to hear what touched you and to hear what you loved in the performance. It's so fun to hear different views of what was interesting and what you saw and what you felt. We love that.
Awesome.
I know I'm definitely super excited about the concert. It's on my birthday, so it's my birthday gift to me. Yeah, I'm so excited. As I'm also a violinist, so I can't wait to hear everything that y'all are gonna bring to that concert on that night. Just saying.
And the concert's also going to be in an art gallery. So we get the extra fun of having the visual art to experience along with the music, which is going to, I think, just enhance everything so much more. And it's also a lovely space to stand around in afterwards and chat with you guys. So we're very excited to have you guys at Green Hill.
Harriet is our resident art connoisseur, so she'll be very excited.
Awesome. Well, as we near the end of this interview, I did want to get a little personal question. So you can relax. It's not going to be anything ridiculous. Okay, so picture perfect day, sun shining. You're having a good time. What's your go-to song? Any genre.
Ooh. I would say for me, maybe like Motown. And that's like driving, on a road trip or something, and it's like really nice weather out.
Okay. Okay.
For me, it's kind of like an indie rock. I love like Avett Brothers, Mumford and Sons. Maybe it's feeling a little draw to North Carolina and banjo. I love some of that. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for talking with us. We really enjoyed getting to know you both, and we can't wait to have all four of you here in a few weeks. So we will see you on September 29th in Green Hill Center for North Carolina Art. And that concert is at 7:30, and all the information can be found on our website, musicforgreatspace.org. Thanks so much, ladies. Have a great day.
See you soon.